Listen to the passage and then answer and discuss the following questions. Bolt for freedom. At the settlement by the river, the sun had still not risen on the cold February morning. Bod's dad was a farmer, and the family lived not far from the great stone circle. Even though it was still dark, Bod heard his dad stoking the fire. He snuggled down further into the heather bed, pulling his sheepskin blanket under his chin. He hoped his dad would leave him a little longer. He hadn't slept well. Thunder had woken him, and he'd seen a bolt of lightning illuminating the sky through the hole in the centre of the roof of their hut. "Bod, time to get up. I need your help today," his dad quietly called him, careful not to wake the others. Bod pulled his tunic around himself and tightened his leather belt. Together they walked out of the narrow entrance of the house made from mud and sticks. They stopped dead in their tracks. Where were the sheep? They had disappeared. The wooden fencing that enclosed the animals had broken down, and their herd had gone. "The storm must have spooked them," cried Bod's dad. "Quick, we need to find them." The family depended on the sheep for wool, milk, and meat. Without them, they had nothing. They were their prized possessions. Bod whistled for his dog, who ran from the warmth of the hut, and joined them as they ran. They headed to the walls of the settlement, through the gateway, into fields beyond. They ran across the grass, their leather shoes slipping on the wet earth. Bod and his dog searched the woods, a favourite place for the sheep to graze. His dad ran in the opposite direction, but soon was out of breath, heart pumping quickly. Leaving the woods, Bod ran towards the hedgerows to see if the sheep were hidden behind them. He caught sight of his dad and ran forwards to join him. They both stopped to rest, looking around before they continued their hunt. The sun gradually rose in the sky and shone on the early morning fields. Slowly, they looked up, and there, in the distance, stood the standing stones, upright, like gods in their position high on the hill. But what caught Bod's eye was a movement around the base of the huge rocks. "Look, Dad, the sheep!" he cried. Relief flooded through them, and with new energy, they ran towards the circle of stones. The dog ran ahead, having got scent of the sheep. Running between the vast boulders, shouting and calling, they were soon herding the animals back down the slope from the standing stones. Between them, they managed to get the sheep back to their settlement and into their pen. They spent the rest of the day mending the broken fencing, their precious possessions safe and sound once more. In what month did the story take place? Why had Bod not slept well? What do you think illuminating means? What is Bod's dad's job? What was the house made from? Why did they stop dead in their tracks? Why did Bod's dad think the sheep had escaped? What did the family depend on from the sheep? What kind of shoes was Bod wearing? Where was a favourite place for the sheep to graze? Where did they find the sheep? How did the author describe the standing stones? Which words did the author use to describe the size of the standing stones? What were their precious possessions? When in history do you think this story took place?